You watch it happen in slow motion. Your cat walks up to something on the table. A glass, a pen, your phone. They look at it. They look at you. They look back at it. And then, with a single deliberate paw, they push it off the edge. And then they look at you again. It's one of the most uniquely infuriating things cats do, and also one of the most documented. There are entire corners of the internet dedicated to videos of cats doing exactly this, usually while their owner watches in helpless disbelief from across the room. Most people land on one of two explanations. Their cat is an agent of chaos, or their cat specifically hates them. Neither of those is what's happening. What's actually happening is more interesting, more layered, and reveals something about your cat's intelligence that most owners never fully appreciate. Let's talk about why your cat pushes things off tables on purpose, because the word purpose is doing a lot of work in that sentence and it deserves to be examined carefully. 1. They're not being destructive, they're doing science. Start here, because this is the foundation everything else builds on. Cats are predators, and predators, to survive, need to understand how things in their environment behave, how fast something moves, whether it's alive or dead, whether it poses a threat or represents an opportunity, whether it's worth pursuing. The way cats gather this information is by interacting with objects, touching them, batting them, watching what happens when they do. This is not play in the casual sense. This is information gathering. Active, systematic, purposeful investigation of the physical world. When your cat taps something on a table and watches it move, they're measuring. When they tap it again and watch it move differently, they're comparing. When they push it to the edge and it falls, they're observing the full range of its behavior. How fast did it fall? What sound did it make? Did it break? Did it move after landing? This is the same cognitive process that makes cats such effective hunters. The ability to understand the behavior of objects in their environment, to predict movement, to anticipate responses. Your cat isn't destroying your things. Your cat is running experiments on them. The fact that you're watching doesn't stop the experiment. In some cases, as we'll get to, it's part of it. 2. Your reaction is data, and they're collecting it. Here's where it gets more complicated. The first time your cat pushed something off a table and you reacted, something got logged. Your voice changed. You moved quickly. You came to the location. Something happened that was different from the baseline of you sitting across the room, not paying attention. Your cat noticed, and they remembered. Because here's what your cat is doing underneath all the other things your cat is doing. They're monitoring you, continuously, passively, as a background process that never fully turns off. They know your baseline. They know what you look and sound like when nothing is happening. And they know, now, that pushing something off a surface produces a response from you, a significant one, every time. This is not malice. It's not manipulation in the way we use that word for humans. But it is, in a very real sense, intentional. Your cat has learned that this specific action produces this specific result, and they have, at least sometimes, chosen to produce that result deliberately. The cats who do this most consistently are almost always the ones who are understimulated, not necessarily bored in the way a dog gets bored, but lacking sufficient engagement with their environment, and with you specifically. Pushing something off a table and watching you respond is, from their perspective, one of the more reliable ways to generate interesting activity in an otherwise quiet day. They're not trying to annoy you. They're trying to make something happen. And if this is landing differently than you expected, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more cat owners who want to actually understand what's going on inside their cat instead of just filming it. 3. The looking at you first is the most important part. Go back to the beginning of this. Your cat walks up to the object. They look at it. They look at you. Then they push it. That sequence matters enormously, and most people overlook it entirely because it happens quickly. The look at the object is assessment. The look at you is something else. Behaviorists who study cat cognition have documented what's called referential communication in cats. The ability to look at something and then look at a person, directing the person's attention toward the thing. It's a form of pointing. It requires the cat to understand that you have a perspective separate from their own, that you are not automatically seeing what they are seeing, and that their gaze can redirect yours. When your cat looks at you before pushing something, they're not checking whether you're watching. They know you're watching. They're doing something more specific. They're including you in what's about to happen. They're directing your attention to the thing before the thing becomes interesting. That's a sophisticated social behavior. It's the kind of thing we associate with higher cognitive function. And your cat is doing it casually, in the middle of knocking your pen off the kitchen table. The look is not incidental. The look is the whole point. 4. Gravity is genuinely fascinating to them, and always will be. There's a simpler layer underneath all of this that's also true, and it deserves its own space. Falling things are interesting to cats in a way that doesn't require any social or communicative explanation. An object at rest on a surface is visually static. An object falling is moving, unpredictably, changing direction when it hits things, making sounds that vary based on what it's made of and what it lands on. Movement is what your cat's visual system is optimized for. Their eyes are significantly better at tracking motion than they are at resolving detail in still objects. A moving object activates their visual processing in a way that a stationary one simply doesn't. Every time your cat pushes something off a table, they get to watch something fall, and falling things behave in ways that are genuinely variable and therefore genuinely interesting. A plastic pen lands differently than a glass. Something that rolls after landing keeps being interesting longer than something that just stops. Something that shatters produces a whole new set of stimuli. Your cat has learned that surfaces with objects on them are, essentially, an on-demand source of movement. They are the one who gets to decide when the movement happens. That level of environmental control is something cats seek actively, and a table full of objects gives them exactly that. This is also why they tend to start at the edge. The edge is where the payoff is. Everything before the edge is just set up. 5. The ones who do it most are telling you something specific. Not all cats knock things off tables with equal frequency. Some never do it. Some do it occasionally. Some do it with a regularity that suggests a dedicated hobby. The cats who do it most are almost always the ones who need more than they're currently getting. More engagement, more interaction, more moments in the day where something happens that involves them directly. This is worth taking seriously rather than just accepting as a personality trait. A cat who is regularly, persistently knocking things off surfaces and watching you react is a cat who has found one of the only reliable methods available to them for generating engagement in their environment. That's a signal, not a crisis, but a signal. They're not broken, they're resourceful. They found something that works, and they're using it because the alternatives aren't available to them. More play, more interaction during the parts of the day when they're most active. More moments where you initiate contact rather than waiting for them to escalate to property damage to get your attention. These things reduce the behavior significantly in most cats, not because you've corrected them, but because the need that was driving it is being met some other way. A cat who gets enough engagement doesn't need to knock your water glass off the counter to make something interesting happen. 6. There's something worth respecting in all of this. Here's what I keep coming back to when I think about this behavior. Your cat, an animal with no hands, no language, and no ability to tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, I need something," figured out a method. They identified an action that produces a reliable response from you. They refined it. They deploy it with enough awareness to look at you first, to check that you're watching, to make sure the communication lands. That's not chaos. That's problem solving. That's an animal working with what they have to get what they need from the most important relationship in their environment. You can be annoyed by it and also respect it. Both things are allowed. But the next time you watch your cat lock eyes with you, look at the object and push it deliberately off the edge. Try to see what's actually happening underneath the infuriating surface of it. They looked at you first. They always look at you first. Because this was never really about the object. It was always about getting you to look back.